Okay, hello, and welcome to webinar 22 in 2023. And today's webinar is about proper posture, proper neurodevelopment. So that's basically development of the brain, the nervous system. So we're going to talk a bit about ADHD, 5 steps for proper posture for kids, and we're also going to speak about why it's important to you, no matter who you are that is watching. So, did you know that 70% of school-aged children present with moderate to severe forward head posture, and it's getting worse? I'm going to tell you more about this in a minute. Did you know that up to 50% of children suffer from musculoskeletal pain? And my mission, or one of my missions this summer, is to help more children who are suffering from postural distortion patterns to reverse postural decline in the digital age. And that's for all people. Okay, not just kids. Okay, now the purpose of my webinar series is to help you go from goal setting to goal getting, inspire more self-health responsibility, because I believe that the more healthy you are, the more likely you will be to be at peace. And the more at peace you are, the more likely you are to influence others to be at peace, which is only going to be a good thing for world peace. And I found out that I am not alone in this. So I invite you to join us seeking better peace through working with one person at a time. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And the news is we are a very sick society. We have more drugs than ever before. We have more vaccines than ever before, yet disease rates are going up in the West. In America, where they've got the most drugs, they're getting more childhood obesity, more childhood cancer. We're getting more cancer in the UK, and more obesity in the UK in children as well. We are getting sicker and sicker as we have basically abdicated our self-health responsibility to drug companies as opposed to ourselves. And the good news is it's not due to genetics, it's up to you making better decisions. And this is what the entire webinar series this year is all about, helping you make better decisions for yourself and for your family. Which brings me back to today. So I'm Chris Pickard. As well as a Bachelor of Science in Chiropractic, I have done additional studying in functional nutrition and functional neurology, further training specializing in ADHD, founded Body and Balance, Brain and Balance, and also beatbloodpressure.com, because I've done a lot of work with cardiovascular disease as well. So both children and older people. Today, we're going to look at common causes of postural distortion, the link between posture and neurodevelopment, a look at ADHD, 5 steps for proper posture for your children and yourself, and why you should schedule a posture check for your whole family. And this is according to my Navy SEAL coaches. Navy SEALs, just in case, I'll speak to you about those later. So what is posture? Posture is the position in which you hold your body while standing, sitting, or lying down. Good posture involves training your body to stand, walk, sit, and lie in place with the least strain on your muscles and ligaments while you are moving to perform weight-bearing activities. So good posture is all about putting yourself in maximum efficiency. And this has a number of positive benefits. It keeps your bones and joints in the correct position, so ligaments and muscles are being used properly. Helps cut down on the wear and tear of those joints, such as your knees and your back, preventing osteoarthritis. Decreases the strain on the ligaments of the spine, decrease back pain, prevents the spine from becoming fixed in abnormal positions, decrease back pain and neck pain and headaches, prevents fatigue because muscles are being used more effectively and efficiently, rather, which allows the body to use less energy. So you have more energy to do the things you want to do. Helps prevent back pains, as I've already said, and it contributes to higher self-esteem because you look better, and it also helps improve concentration. So here's some more stuff about the kids. So proper posture helps your child move better, feel better, function better, live better, and gain confidence as well. I mean, who looks the best? The one with the slump posture, A, or the one who's more upright? Simply standing more upright makes a difference. Who looks like they're out of pain? A or B? Who looks happier? A or B? being upright does actually improve your mood. Now, it's not the be all and end all of depression and all mental problems, but having good posture only helps, or improving your posture and using the right muscles only helps your body and your brain. So research does support that proper posture is healthy for neurological development as well. So for instance, if you have a forward head from looking at, not just reading books all day, which you've been doing for a long time, but now we're actually picking up phones and we're actually walking around reading and looking at our phones. And this is adults and children. So it's getting worse and worse and worse. And forward head posture can decrease the blood supply to the brain, which is kind of important. And then there's carrying rucksacks as well. Carrying rucksacks basically does show that there's increased, postural distortion, increased pain as well. But I'd say, is it the weight of the rucksack, or is it basically because we spend too much time sitting down? When we're too young, we're told to sit still before our spinal muscles are fully developed. So sitting still versus lots and lots of fidgeting and movement. And then, yes, there's a study which I spoke about last week on how poor posture is related to mouth breathing, and mouth breathing is related to lower cognitive function tests or lower scores. So that there's definite links, and there's more later, between posture and the brain. As we've seen, because I did this earlier on today, researchers found that upright posture resulted in greater vitality and pleasure and higher scores for calculation and listening comprehension. So basically, the brain works better when you're upright as opposed to slumped. And another study on ADHD, researchers found a significant correlation between poor postural stability and ADHD symptoms, suggesting that postural control deficits might be related to attention deficits in children with ADHD. And I have seen many children. In fact, this is how I got really interested in ADHD, is because parents would say, as well as getting rid of neck pain, my child's scores at school have actually improved. And then when they noticed their kids' scores decreasing again, it was time for another adjustment and time for something else to help their spine work better again. Now, the most common postural distortion is basically forward head posture. But this also leads to what's called postural hyperkyphosis, so a lot more rounded shoulders, and it can also lead to increased sway in the back, and so the bum sticks out, the tummy sticks out, but it's actually just posture. And so a lot of it's caused by just looking down for prolonged periods of devices, not just sitting down now, but when we're standing, walking around, carrying backpacks that are too heavy for our weakened spines, too much time just lounging around in awkward positions, but generally a lack of activity. So weak muscles and tight muscles cause the joints of the spine and the shoulder and the neck to be pulled out of position. And the reason why there can be such a big link between postural problems and brain problems is because the brain receives input from our hands, our fingers, our toes, our feet, our back, our neck, our jaw, eyes, and our ears. And if your head is forwards all the time, it actually locks up movement in various joints in the spine, and it's actually movement of the spine that gives the greatest input into the brain. So it's really important for proper movement for you to have good posture. Yeah, good posture. Also, because it actually supports the alignment of the spine, it takes a lot of pressure off of the system. So there's more energy, as we've spoken, for everything to work better. Now, this is, I put this in because it is relevant to the posture and the brain. And this is a talk that I did way back when we were called the Pain Relief Centre. So this is a number of years ago. And this is the talk that I did on overcoming ADHD naturally. Okay, and while it's often thought, it's just a thing that kids have and it's just happening more and more, some of the reasons for all these spectrum disorders like ADHD is because of electrical dysfunctions, maybe between each side of the brain. Maybe one side of the brain is more active than the other. And the good news is you can balance the brain, hence brain and balance program. insufficient biochemical processes. So diet, nutrition, digestion, absorption, all these things play a role in how well the brain works. And if you can balance the hemispheres of the brain, if you can improve the nutrients getting to the brain works better. Neurotoxicity, so is the brain actually being poisoned? Metabolic imbalances, mimicking and participating in some of the symptoms. So it can be genetics, environmental toxins, essential fatty acid deficiency, vitamins, minerals, amino acid deficiencies. So aberration from the rest of the body, just the wrong diet, allergies, gastrointestinal dysfunction, intestinal dysbiosis, immune dysfunction. All of these things can be triggers for ADHD. And unless you actually take care of them, you don't know what is actually something that can be simply fixed, because in some kids, ADHD improves within weeks of doing some of the right things. And our approach is to really try and understand that it's behavioral problems are on a spectrum, and people can actually slide and move through these depending on everything else they do. So we need to find out what specific areas of the brain are involved, what motor function and cognitive function sort of go together. Is the person moving properly? Postural muscles, imbalances between the left and the right, and looking at all the different things that you can do to actually improve that. So balancing the two sides of the brain. I'd say basically, if this is actually some simple things you can do, is basically get your child or yourself to put your feet together, and then make sure everything around you is safe. Close your eyes, and do you sway to one side? Is your head tilted to the opposite side to which you sway? And do you have weak wrists or ankles on the same side as the head tilt? Because all these things, so say you've got a weak right wrist and left ankle, right wrist and right ankle, your head tilts to the right and you sway to the left, then you probably have a right hemisphericity problem, as in it's not as strong as your left hemisphere of your brain. And you know what? You can strengthen it. Now, there are a number of areas of the brain involved with ADHD, but the reason I really wanted to show you this picture was because, let's see, pointer options, laser pointer, was this area here, the cerebellum. The cerebellum was for many, many years just thought to be the area that helps coordinate movement and therefore posture as well. But we also now know that the cerebellum actually helps coordinate movements between all the different lobes of the brain. So eye movement, mouth movement, so communication, the immune system. The cerebellum coordinates all the other functions of the brain and ties it all together. And so if the cerebellum is under functioning because of movement issues and movement problems, then the rest of the brain will suffer. So it's very, very important that you get your cerebellum working by making sure that movement and posture are as good as they can be. It's in ADHD, it's the prefrontal cortex, prefrontal area here. It's often the problem, because that's where attention, concentration, planning, organization, decision-making, impulsivity control, emotional control, and autonomic nervous system control all reside. The good news is you can improve one area of the brain by improving movement and posture in the right way, and also by feeding it all the right nutrients as well. So I just put this all up here just for ADHD purposes. There's lots of different things that we can do to help. And then there's a great book, Disconnected Kids, that I recommend that everyone should buy. If they suspect ADHD or ADHD, dyslexia, or other neurological disorders in their kids, it's a great book to read. And it basically gives a good overview of how we work with children as well. So back to postural distortion patterns. So if you have poor posture, you could expect to have musculoskeletal pain, poor balance and coordination, cognitive deficits, ADHD, respiration dysfunction, negative mood, and lower self-confidence, as we have said before. And so, is your child sitting for more than 4 hours a day? I mean, if they go to school, the answer is probably yes. Do they spend more than 2 hours a day on devices, hunched over things? Probably yes. So it's a good idea to do something to get them moving and upright, whether that's encouraging them to do exercise or doing something like bringing them to a chiropractor or an osteopath to at least do some artificial movement, as I often call what we do here. And so yeah, watch your child while they're doing stuff. Are they really slumping and slouching forwards? So what can you do at home? So simple things include postural exercises. Posture angels are a great one. Now, in the picture here at the top, you've got a kid holding like a stretchy band, but you don't need to. So what you can do is start by having your arms above your head. And if you've got something to actually pull on, and then you can actually bring the elbows down into the kind of stick them up, hands up position, and just holding it for a few seconds. And then you can relax by putting the arms overhead and then pulling down again. Or you can just put the arms all the way down and lift them all up. Just repeating that 5 times, a couple of times a day can be very helpful. And then something that I get most of my adults to do as well, and in fact, this is a great exercise for adults as well, is just lying on the front, lifting up arms and legs, basically, and holding it for a few seconds to 30 seconds, repeating it 3 times, a couple of times a day. Very, very simple postural exercises, but they're very effective. I use them with adults as well as children. Now, next slide. There you go. Next thing to do is take posture breaks. This is so important for adults as well, because if you sit down, now here I say take 30-second posture break every hour, okay? Because in school, you probably can't get up more often than that. But if you're at home, get up at least every 19 minutes or so. The reason I say 19 minutes is because research from NASA has found that when you sit down for 20 minutes, this is when our bones and our muscles and our nervous systems start decaying, because they need to move. Your brain needs you to move, your body needs you to move, your hormones need you to move. So ideally, you should get up at least every 19 minutes before the rot kicks in. And proper backpack posture, make sure that you're not carrying more than 10% of your body weight, and that you basically pack the heaviest items closest to your spine, so it's not going to sag, and use both the straps properly over each shoulder. Now, there are some different bag types as well that distribute the weight in different ways, but generally, using an ordinary backpack, make sure you actually put it so the weight is evenly distributed, especially if it's a heavy bag. If you are watching iPhones or reading books or magazines, then basically do it in an upright position, or sit on an exercise ball. Very good idea there. And try and get more movement throughout the day. There's lots of ways to take movement breaks very intuitively throughout the day if you're an adult. And with a kid, yeah, it would be great if there were more things integrated in the day at school. Now, the other thing you can do is have yearly postural evaluations. Now, this used to happen more in the past, but it's now been sort of phased out, like they don't care. But just having your child checked every year and yourself checked every year, just for simple mechanical changes, can help highlight and alert you to the changes being made in the body. And so I'd encourage you, if you haven't been in for a while, to see me, or you've never been in to see myself or a chiropractor and osteopath, is find out if they do free spinal checkups, such as what we do. So promote proper neurodevelopment in your child with postural correction, and prevent chronic pain and spinal degeneration. Advice from a Navy SEAL. So the Navy SEALs are basically the US military's, the US Navy's version of the SAS. And they do all kinds of tough training. And when they're going through their training, they split it into boat crews. And as you can see, there's a number of boat crews there. And most of the people there will actually fail in their initial training and will fail to get into the real training to be a Navy SEAL. But the person I'm learning from at the moment, not only did he pass his training, his entire boat crew passed the training. And at no point, and the Navy SEALs have been going for, however many years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I don't know, 60 years, I don't know. But for as long as there's been Navy SEAL training, at no point has an entire boat crew passed, like everyone on the boat passed. That's never happened, apart from when the guy I'm currently learning from, he was in charge of the boat crew. And one of the things that he teaches his Navy SEALs, he's not a Navy SEAL anymore, but he actually trains people before they go into Navy SEAL training, because if they go through his training, they're more likely to succeed. And a lot of it's to do with mental toughness. But here, as it says, at SEALFIT, we get people to pay attention to their posture and how they present themselves to the world. They learn how much their posture will affect their energy, attitude, leadership ability, and resiliency over long periods of grueling work. So if the Navy SEALs find it important for posture, for all these things, how do you think it's important for you in normal life and important for your child to learn from a young age? I mean, one of the best things that my parents ever did was send me to a chiropractor at the age of 8. So I've grown up thinking about my posture and my nervous system and how it relates to my health. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me after, of course, being born and getting married and having children, all those funky, wonderful things. So again, reminder of what is posture, because posture is the position in which you hold your body while standing, sitting, down. Good posture involves training your body to stand, walk, sit, and lie to place the least strain on muscles and ligaments while you are moving or performing weight-bearing activities. And good posture helps you in the following ways, as we've spoken about before. Basically decreases the rot in your body and your brain. And poor posture isn't necessarily a bad habit either. Physical reasons include inflexible muscles, also muscle strength problems. And both of those things can be worked on whether you're young or whether you're old. It can be improved for all the benefits therein. So the next step for you is to schedule a posture evaluation for your child or your grandchildren or yourself or your parents or your grandparents. This service, a posture evaluation, can take as little as 5 minutes. I'm going to be doing as many as I can for free as well. You just have to fill in some simple forms just so I know who you are, basically. And you can ring the clinic and we'll fit you in wherever and whenever we can. And this is even if you are not local and you're just coming to visit some friends in the area, just give us a ring. We'll fit you in. Although having said that, I do a lot of stuff these days online as well to help people. But I won't be doing free checks online. But yeah, you have to come into the clinic to do the free stuff. So what's coming up next in the webinar series? Motivation and commitment, which is pillar number 2 of the mental toughness program. And also July is National Good Care Month, as in people who are carers. Whether it's caring for elderly people, caring for young kids with disability problems. But I like the term good care. Good care means more attention and consideration than is normally bestowed by prudent persons. And good care is something that my parents have instilled in me on looking after myself. Good care is what my parents did for me by actually taking it beyond the normal stuff of, is he eating healthily? Does he get outside? Does he go to the doctor? It's actually, they sent me to a chiropractor, they taught me to meditate, all from a young age. So good care. So that's what next month will be about, more good care, but starting with motivation and commitment. So again, reach out. There's my phone number. And also there are my websites as well, should you wish to further investigate what we can do for you. beatbloodpressure.com or bodyimbalanceuk.com, and back to the phone number 01707 662 704. So be well, take the next steps, and we shall see you soon. So that's bye-bye for now.